So, to start off the video, let me just quickly explain what it is all about. I'm going to be focusing this time on how to create a clean feed, and if you don't know what a clean feed is, it's super simple. It's essentially a feed of the game without any casters, without any sponsor graphics. It's just pretty much fully clean that can be taken by anybody, and then people can produce their own broadcasts with. So this happens a lot in broadcasts. You'd create a clean feed or a world feed, and then you send it to your partners, and you also have a secondary feed, which is your main stream. So take this as like a feed that you can send to anyone, and they can use it however they wish. Now, starting off, I'm going to basically show you how the project is built. So here we have a full vMix setup. This was like a very fun, kind of casual weekend thing that I did with Cairo, where I created a clean feed for his watch party for one of the Valorant Beacon tournaments. So starting off, we have a simple intermission screen, which has a bunch of highlights there. Then we have a map veto graphic with a timer on it, which essentially tells the person how long they have left until the map veto shows up. We then have a map veto graphic. We have an agent select graphic, which you don't really see right now, purely because my game isn't connected and I don't have my Elgato on. Then we have a fly through. We've got the fly through videos here. We've got the game, which has the overlay on top. We have a replay input with the overlay on top. We have the vMix replay input. We have input B, which isn't really used, so I'm hiding it. We've got the post-match scoreboard. Here we have some highlights that I already have before. The veto graphics, one for best of threes and one for best of ones. The HUD itself, and then some predictions. So, if I transition from the intermission to the map veto, let's say I hit the fade, it will automatically change all the music and start a 30-second countdown. Now, I automated pretty much everything because I was running a one-person show. I was producing the feed, I was observing the game on my laptop, and I was also doing replays using a foot pedal, which I'll explain how to do everything later. So, once the map veto counts down to 0, I'll wait for it to hit 0, and then I'll hit Stinger 1, which is my main transition that I have. So, 4, 3, 2, 1, hit the Stinger, transitions, automatically the music changes, and it starts from the beginning. Here we have an empty veto screen. Right click, hit page 1. Boom, the first two bands come up. Right click, page 2. Boom, the first two picks come up. And page 3, the rest of the graphic comes in. Easy. Next from this, we're going to be going to agent select. So here we're going to transition to agent select when it's ready. It's going to play a video of the map in the middle. Then, once this is finished, we're going to go to this game loading screen. So once this is complete, we're going to hit the merge button, and it's going to do this. It's going to start a sequence. It's going to come up with game loading, Twitter underneath, and once this is finished, it basically has a 30-second track running underneath. So we'll wait for the track to play a little bit. And once that's done, you hit Stinger 1, and boom. Here we are in the game, and the music will still play and fade out slowly. Simple. Now, I also have a replay system set up, so let me guess, I'm just doing my replays here. I've got this in preview, doing my replays, blah, blah, blah. Once I've done my replays for the round, I just select them, and I hit play events, and it will replay it like this, with the overlay on top, and then show the replays, and then automatically go back to the game. So here we are, wait for this to finish. And boom, it goes back to the game automatically, and then I can carry on observing the round. Then, once the game is done, I show some replays again, so let me hit play events, and then I hit my post-match scoreboard on preview, so the second the replays finish at the end of the game, it's going to go to the scoreboard. So let's say the replays are finished, boom, it goes to the scoreboard automatically, and then I go back to my intermission screen once the scoreboard is no longer needed, so here we are. And that's it. That is the project. Super simple, but you can expand this to whatever depths you want. And even if you're not running this as a clean feed but a normal show, this will make it for a really smooth production. If you're running a solo show, everything will pretty much be automated and you don't have to worry about anything. Alright, so starting off with my setup for the project, I made a list of everything I will need that I have done in my original file. So here we have all the different scenes that we have. The intermission, loading, the veto, agent select, the fly-through playlist, the game, the replay. We then have the list of the videos, the stingers we have, the graphics, the other graphics, and all the different audio. So we're going to recreate all of this one by one now. So let's start off by creating these. We're going to go ahead and add a bunch of blank inputs. Add blank, add blank. Just keep adding until we have a bunch of them filled out. So first we're going to start with the intermission. I'm going to call it fs_intermission. Next, we're going to have fs loading, fs_loading. Then we're going to have fs_veto. Then we're going to have agent, fs_agent. Then we're going to have fs_fly. And if I open this up, then we have the game and the replay. So I'm going to call this fs game. And I'll make one called fs replay. fs_replay. So me labeling this fs as full screen, GT as in the GT graphic, GFX as in some of the GFX I have added myself. Then the stingers are the stingers, and VTs are videos, and audio is audio, SFX is sound effects. So now that we have these out of the way, we're going to go ahead and add our list. We're going to call this list VT_fly through. So this will be a list that's here that's going to have all our fly throughs available. And I'm going to move all of these to the red section where I'm going to keep all my scenes just to have everything organized. I'm going to label this I'm going to just call it scenes. I'm going to call this one GFX. I'm going to call this one audio. Here I can have my VT and other. Boom. So here scenes will only show what I kind of want here. I'll put the VTs in there. Here we go. So go back to this box here, which will show everything. Next, we need to add our VT loop. So we're going to go into our folder. Down here I have the Cairo watch party. And here I have a bunch of different files, as you can see, super messy. Here are all our fly-throughs. We're just literally going to grab all of this, drag and drop it into here. So here we have all our fly-throughs. And I can pretty much just click play, loop, and here you can see it's looping. Turn all of these off. Next, let's go ahead and find the loop. Alright, so the loop is in here in this folder. I lost it earlier, but here it is, bg_loop. I'm just going to drag it in, and here we have this. I'm going to click play, and I'm going to loop it just to make sure it's always looping. So next, we're going to have to add our stingers. So here I have my main stinger and my replay stinger with the audio. So I'm going to hit them both, drag and drop, and here I have both of them. This one plays like that, and this one plays like this. So we're going to go to our audio mixer, make sure the audio is always on, turn this off. So now when I play this, you can hear that. And when I play this, you can hear that. I'm going to rename this one to stinger_replay. And I'm going to call this one stinger_main. So here I have our replay stinger and our main stinger. I'm going to throw these into the VT section. So here in the scenes, I don't see them. And then we're going to configure them. So we're going to click overlay on the bottom right. We're going to go to stinger 1, which will be our main stinger. Stinger input, we'll do stinger main. And let's have a go and see if it works. So let's try and transition from black to this. And it cuts perfectly underneath. There you go, it works. Let's do the same thing for stinger 2. And select stinger replay. Let's see if this works. There you go, it cuts perfectly underneath. Easy. If this doesn't work for you, make sure you go to the duration and adjust the duration just so it's longer, just to make sure it works. And then also the stinger cut point, adjust that for when you want your input to cut while your stinger or graphic is on top. Now, another cool thing you can do is you can do this not as an MOV file, but you can add in an image sequence. So to do that, you just go add input and then image sequence. And as you can see, it will show up here once you have it, but I don't have any currently in. So let's go back. Now that we have the two stingers in, let's get rid of that and move on to our GT graphics and all these other graphics we have. So click on the cogwheel here on our full screens, layers and multi-view, and we can just add in the background to everything. So VT_loop. And a new cool feature that vMix also added, you can click copy from, and then do FS intermission, click OK, and boom. Now I'm just essentially just quickly adding the same inputs as I have from everything. Boom, FS intermission copy. But I don't need it for this one. Anyway, so our intermission, our loading, our veto, these are the three that we need this graphic on top. Now let's go back into our notepad to see what we need to add extra. Let's focus on doing our GFX intermission first since it's there. So we need to find our graphic. And as you can see, I have everything labeled really well here. So I'm going to go to intermission.png, drag and drop it in, and I'm going to call this GFX underscore intermission. Boom. I'm going to take this, move it to my graphics here. I'm going to go to my layer multi-view, and I'm going to add on top, I'll just move it here. I'm going to call it GFX underscore intermission. Simple as that. Here I have it now. In this, I also add a highlight package. So I'm going to have to adjust this graphic a bit manually by myself. So let's go ahead. In my desktop, I have the highlights here. I'll drag and drop them, and I'll call this VT underscore highlights. I'm going to go ahead and click loop. I'm going to put them in the VT section. And then I'm going to put these highlights up here, VT highlights. I'm going to make them a bit smaller. And then we need to add a little border on top of this. So let's see if I have the border anywhere. Is it this one? Definitely not. It is somewhere, but I think I've lost it. So whatever, we'll just leave it in the middle. Let's make that a bit smaller. Make it 0.5. Actually 0.6. How does that look? 0.6, 0.7. And let's move this down a bit. Then we'll go to our GFX intermission. We'll make another one of these and hide one. We'll take this one and we'll move it all the way to the top here. So let's reset and put it like right here. There we go. We're going to add this one again, and we're going to crop all the way up so we can get the logo. So rather than exporting two different graphics, I'm using the same one and just cropping. Simple as that. Take these highlights, make them a bit smaller, move them down to wherever they need to be. This is still a bit too big for me, so I'm going to adjust the size maybe. Take it down. Put it on the same here. And boom, here I have my intermission screen. So now every time I go to it, it's going to automatically play. Now the audio is super, super loud, so I'm going to go ahead and turn that down all the way to the bottom, and might as well mute it as well. If I want to add a graphic on top, you can literally add a border just adding it here, or you can go and add a border in this layer multi-view screen. So you can click edit on your highlights, click border, type in thickness, let's do 15 as an example, and change the color to black. So now I here have a border. Let's change it a bit lower, let's do 10. Actually 15 looks good, so I'm going to keep it on 15. And there we go, I now have a border, I've got highlights playing and an intermission screen. And every time I go in and out, it's going to automatically play. Boom, we're on the fly through. Now we're going back to intermission. And here we have the highlights automatically playing. And they will just loop forever and carry on. So if you have like a highlight video, you can just do that. And this is just a minute-long video that's just going to keep on looping and looping and looping. Alright, so now that we have the intermission screen set up and we have this done. Alright, so next let's get our game feed in. I'm going to go ahead to add input. We're going to go to camera. And then here I have a bunch of different things. I've got my webcam, I've got my screen link from Elgato, and my Camlink Pro and a Camlink 4K. Now Camlink Pro is what I'm using. I'm connecting my laptop's HDMI into my Camlink Pro, which is a very budget way of doing this, but it works and you don't really need more. And I have it on my third HDMI input in my motherboard. So I'll show a little graphic on top where it shows you how everything is connected to visualize it a little bit. So selecting my Camlink Pro HDMI 3, make sure that the audio device is Camlink Pro Audio 3 or whatever you have. Make sure it's set up properly. This feed could be an SRT, it could be an RTMP feed, whatever you like. And once done, click OK. Here is our game feed. As you can see, there's no signal because my laptop is not connected at the moment. Let's call this game underscore main. So this is our main game input, and we'll keep it on our scenes section. So in order to set up the replay, we'll go to add input. We're going to go to replay, instant replay. And here you will choose session folder where you want to save. Your camera, which for me will be game underscore main. And then what quality you want. I'm going for standard since I'm running multiple things on the same PC. Master audio channels, master. Playback source camera 1. In transition and out transition, I will set a Stinger 2 because Stinger 2 is my replay. An event transition, I will select this fade of 100 milliseconds. I'm going to hit OK, and it's going to create replays A and replays B. Now, you're seeing a feed here because I've already gone into a game, so everything is there. I will go and click on the cogwheel, and I'm going to call this replay. So we now have replay A and replay B. Now, let's go on to our graphics that we have, and here we have our replay graphic. Let's rename this to GFX_replay, and let's move this to GFX. Now, one thing we need to set up with these replays that we have this here now is go to the cogwheel, and this is very important in the options. Make sure you play audio when it's below 100% in case you want to slow-mo it. Events, make sure you put your pre-roll to 1 second so it will roll a bit earlier than when you replay. And then automatically sort events by new time, super useful for when you're doing the solo. And then play events button automatically transitions to output. This is extremely important. This will essentially allow you to automatically do the replays. So you hit OK and click record. I'm not going to click it because I have limited space and I've already got a bunch of clips here from before. Now, what this function does is when you hit a replay and you hit play events, it'll automatically go here. And let me turn that down. And it will show the replay and automatically go back out. So as you can see, it just does it for us. Play events. Shows the replay and goes out. Super simple as that. Now, what if we want to have this graphic on top of the replay? If we go here, we can add it on top. But then how do you make this smaller? You can't just go in and then just, let me go back to this, GFX replay. If I go into the position, go to main, if you zoom it out, it does this. So how do you add this graphic on top? Well, the way I did this, I'm not sure if there's any other way of doing it. There probably is, but this is the way I do it. I create my full screen replay. I then add my input replay A here, and then I add the graphic on top. I then resize this to make it fit perfectly. So make it a bit bigger. Boom, there you go, perfect size. So now every time if I cue a replay, I want this to show up. Now, in order for this to show up, when I hit the replays, I have to create a trigger, but I'm going to create that trigger later on, and I'll show you how it works. Okay, so next that we have the replays done, let's try and get the loading screen and the veto screen set up. So let's go to full screen veto, and let me delete this because we don't need this. So full screen veto, we're going to need to get the graphics for the veto in. So here I have veto1 PNG, and you don't really see what this is unless you put it on top. So I'm going to add this layer here, veto1 PNG, map veto with just a box there. I'm going to call this GFX_veto_box because it's a veto box. Drag it to graphics. What is next? That's gone. That's gone. Let's get the actual countdown in. So GT veto count. So I think this one is called timer, maybe. Nope, that is not the one. Or is it? Let me see which one it is. Veto countdown. Here we go. So here I have this graphic. Going to call it GT_veto CTD and GT veto countdown. Going to take that, put it in my GFX, and then I'm going to add it on top of the layer here. And let's test if it works by simply right-click, title editor, play. Oh, the timer is 3 digits long, or 6, sorry, and I want it to only show minutes and seconds. So let me do duration 15 minutes, click play, and there you go. It's how I want it. So it's functioning as intended. So I have my map veto done and my intermission. Now, one thing I also forgot about is I want this logo to show here on the veto. Simple way of doing it, just add my already existing graphic that I have, intermission, and just crop it so I only keep the logo. Here we go. So now I have just the logo on the top left. So now I've got my intermission and my map veto done. Next up, we're going to set up our agent select. So, going to click on this layer here, layers and multi-view, and underneath I'm going to put in my game feed, which is game_main. So here's my game. On top, I'm going to add our fly through video, which is fs_fly. Nope, it is VT fly through. So here is our video. So every time we cut to this, it will play. I'm going to go here to the multi-view, layers. I don't know why it's called multi-view. I'm just going to call it layers. It's confusing. I'm going to hit edit, and I'm going to resize this down a little bit. Now, let's get our graphic on top. HUD agent PNG. I'm going to rename this to GFX_agent. And I'm going to move this into my GFX. So here I have all my graphics, all the VTs. Make sure you sort because it just comes out to be so useful in the end. Back to the scenes, back to our agent, multi-view. On top, let's add our GFX underscore agent. So here, this is what it looks like. I'll put the fly through VT here, and I'll resize this down a bit. Now, what we want to do is we want to create this and put it inside of the borders. So, try to put it in the middle, make it a bit bigger so it fits, and you kind of just got to eye this. So there you go, that looks fine. And now let's crop both sides. There you go, crop this one, and now let's crop the other side. There you go, cropped here. Beautiful. So here we have that. Now, one thing that's annoying with Valorant is these sides on the left and the right don't really match. So I'm just going to ignore them. I'm going to go to GFX agent, and I'm going to crop these out just so I have the border in the middle and the border here. Now, next, I'm going to have my FS fly, which I'm going to set up. So that's going to be going from my intermission to the veto countdown to the agent and then to fly. So in here, I'm going to set up my, where is it? VT fly through, which is playing. And then on top, I'm going to add my GFX underscore load, I believe it's called, or GT load. Where is it? Game load, right there. Game loading, and this has an animation that does this. So I'm going to call this GT load. I'm going to move this to my graphics, and on this, I'm going to click multi-view. I'm going to do GT load. Now, what's the cool thing about this is if I'm on this screen and I want to go here and I press merge, it will do this. It will merge completely like that. But as you can see, there's a slight fade, which doesn't look good. And I want this to be super smooth. I don't want any fades. So what the merge button does is it's essentially an effect dissolve if you know how normal switches work, where it takes whatever inputs there are here and here, and it merges them together so it goes from one state to another state. So as you can see, this is cropped, and now it's uncropped. But vMix doesn't really handle it well. As you can see, it's fading. So I need to add the game input underneath here, so game underscore main. Even though it's hidden, you don't really see it. If I show you, and you merge between them, it doesn't fade anymore. It just perfectly gets bigger. And that's it. Here you have a perfect merge. So here's your agent select, and when it's ending, hit this, boom, game loading. You can put whatever graphic you want. You can have a logo versus logo and have like a really cool transition to the game. There's also another graphic I forgot about, which is a map veto. So I'm going to add it quickly. I'm going to call it fs underscore map underscore veto. I'm going to add the loop here. Now we have our simple veto. Where is this? BO3 veto. Drag it in. And let's also drag our HUD in while we're here. So, map veto, we're going to add on top the BO3 veto. There you go. And for our game, simple. For the game, we just want the game. And on top, we want the HUD. Now, we're going to rename the HUD to GT HUD. And we're going to move it to graphics. And we're going to call this GT Veto Best of 3. And we're going to move it to graphics. So here we have all our graphics organized. And all of our scenes. So intermission into the veto with a countdown. Into the map veto. And then here I have on my GT graphic that I made the different pages, which will show the veto. If you want to learn how to create this, if you just look below, I do have other tutorials which will show you how to make these graphics. So just look at those in order to create this. From this, moving on to our agent select, which looks like that. And from the agent select, hit merge once it's finished, and it'll go like that. And once the loading is done and the game is ready, you just go to the game. Then here we have our game input. And then here we have our replays that if we roll, look like this. Now, the only things left to do is now that we have this is, boom, let's remove all of these, add audio and set up our replays to automate them, and then add our triggers and add this to automatically show once we go to a replay. Moving on to our next big thing, is doing replays. So a lot of clean feeds or a lot of kind of observer world feeds that are done on a budget like this one is, a lot of the time they won't have replays because simply hiring a replay operator is pretty expensive depending on what you're doing. But if you do want to spice it up, you can set up your own replays like I will show you here and do it while multitasking. So I was producing the show, I was observing the game on my laptop, and while I was observing, I was doing replays using my feet by having a foot pedal. The Elgato foot pedal is what I was using. And the way I did it was super simple. If I go onto my browser and open Companion, which all of you should be aware of how it's used, here is Companion, Launch, and here is my button setup on my Stream Deck. You can also create this for a foot pedal by using the Stream Deck app. So when you open the Stream Deck app, you can have the Companion there, and then you can add Companion's button to your foot pedal. So these two buttons, what they do is super simple. There's a function called mark in out live, 2, and I have it here for 4. So this will create a 2-second replay, and this will create a 4-second replay. With the buffer that I added of a 1-second pre-roll, it'll make it 3 seconds and 5 seconds. So simply all you have to do is just hit to record the whole time. It'll record the feed, and let's say something cool happened just now, and I'm literally, all I have to do is hit with my foot pedal, this button here, boom, and there's a replay. So every time I caught something that I wanted to replay at the end of the round, I would simply just press this with my foot on my pedal. Boom. 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 And at the end of the round, I just select them with my mouse and click play events. And here we go. The replays are done automatically. And they're playing by themselves. My hands are off my keyboard, off my mouse. I'm not doing anything. That's it. It's as simple as that. There is nothing complicated to it. There's not much that I have to explain. It's just one simple button. It creates a replay of the last 3 seconds of what happened live. Boom. If I want to adjust something manually, you can add more buttons, but I didn't need them. Or you can just adjust the in and out point here. That's it. If you see something happen on the screen like a kill, you just replay the last 3 or 5 seconds. And if you look here, all of the clips I make, they're literally 3 seconds long, 3 seconds long, 3 seconds, 3 seconds, 5 seconds. And if I play them back here, boom, play. Let's see what it looks like. Here's 1 kill. Here's a 2nd kill. And here's a clutch. And here's him missing with the AWP, and then getting a kill. Look, these are perfect replays. And I do it with the press of one singular button, and I just do it with my feet because I'm using my hands to observe. So be creative, do it whatever way you want, but this is how simple it is. You just press one button, and here you go, your replays are done. And you set it up the way I showed you earlier. That's it, that's all you gotta do. So the next part is probably my favorite one to do, and that's going to be to do with audio and triggers. One main thing that people focus on when watching a show is audio. If the audio is bad, no matter how good the video is, people will always complain. So let's go back to my watch party folder and go to the different music I have. I have a bunch of different tracks and a break track. So I'm going to go to my audio, and I need to create all of these. So I'm going to add a list so I can play multiple songs at once, and I'm going to call them audio, just to label properly, _ break. And this will be my break audio. I'm going to go to the list, I'm going to select audio break, and I'm going to go to my music and grab all of these, throw it in there, go to my audio mixer, I'm going to play this, loop it, I'm going to turn it down a bit, and listen. Here I have a bunch of different songs. So here we go, let's let this play for now. Alright, so this is our break audio. Next, we're going to need our countdown audio. So let's go back, turn this down for now, turn it off. Music, turn this folder. Oh, what's going on? Oh, that is my ring on my phone. Who's at the door? Don't really care, I'm too busy filming a tutorial. Alright. What is this? Okay. Okay, I like this song as a veto. Okay, I'll use this for my map veto. So I'm going to drag this in. I'm going to call this audio _ veto. So here's our veto music. What is this one? Ah, so this is the 30-second clip for the game. So I'm going to drag it in. I'm going to call this audio game 30, so to show it's 30 seconds long. Then let's see what else we need. What is this? Let's add that in. I'm going to do this as audio underscore veto underscore countdown. And I'm going to make sure that all of these loop apart from this one. So if I play this. Okay, so they're all playing, they're all working. Easy. All right, let's mute everything and let's go from here. So now that I have these different audios in, get rid of this. I now have 2 sound effects to do. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I have the sound effects anywhere. I think it's this one. Boom. So these are my map veto sound effects that I have. So I'm just going to add them in. I'm going to call this sfx_1. I'll call this sfx_2. And I'm going to click this again to make sure that this doesn't turn on and off while I'm transitioning to anything. And I'm going to turn the volume on and just turn it down a bit. It's a bit loud. Turn that down even further. So these both work. This does work. It does indeed. This one. Nope. Let's turn it down. It works. This works. And the brake works. So, now, on to the most important bit, which is the triggers. This is a super cool feature. Let's get it all set up. Now, let's automate everything. For our intermission, when we're here, we want our break music. So we go ahead and hit the cogwheel, go to triggers, and then we select here on the trigger, on transition in. So when we transition to this input, to fs_intermission, it will do this function using this input after this amount of time in the delay for this long. So the function, we're going to go to set volume fade. Set volume fade using the input audio_break. There's not going to be any delay because we want it to happen instantly. And here we have our values. So here you can see volume 0 to 100, comma, milliseconds. So what this means is you first type in the volume you want. Let's do 50. Add a comma and how many milliseconds you want it to take to transition. I'm going to do 1500, which is 1.5 seconds, and I'm going to hit add. I will then do the same. I will click on this, and then I will do on transition out. So when this transitions out, it will go to 0 in 1.5 seconds and click add. So now if I transition, the audio automatically plays. However, I forgot to click play on it, so I'm just going to click play. So let's try it again. Transition out. Auto fades. Try it again. Let's transition in. There we go. So now everything perfectly mixes under the stinger using triggers. Now we're going to do the same thing for the map veto. We're going to go to triggers, on transition in. Actually, we can copy this. So let's copy fs_information. And here we have these. We just copied it exactly from it. However, we want to edit so it's not this audio, but it's different audio. So for this, let's do audio veto countdown and click edit. Click on this one, do audio veto countdown, hit edit. So now, make sure that we play this audio, turn everything down completely. And this. So now when we go to the veto, it will play automatically. Now, this is a 30-second countdown that I want to have every time. So I can set that up using a trigger again. So let me go to my triggers, and I'm going to add a new trigger. On transition in, and I'm going to click on my functions. You can do everything, literally everything. There's so much stuff you can do. But here, I'm going to go to title, and then I'm going to do set countdown, which is this. Actually, that's a lie. I will not do set countdown. I'm going to do stop countdown. So what this will do is they will reset the timer. I'm going to click add. Then I'm going to add another one. So I'm going to click on stop countdown. And I'm going to do start countdown. And I'm going to click add. So now what this will do is we'll always stop the countdown completely. And then do whatever we have here for our duration. So in this case, let's do 45 seconds. So let's say this countdown's already going, and we cut to this. This will automatically reset to 30 seconds, because what it will do is it will stop the countdown, and then it will start it again. So let's transition. And boom. It's going straight from 30 seconds. And it's going from 30 seconds, because that's what I have it set to. So let's cut again. As you can see, that is incorrect. It doesn't reset. And this is for a very simple reason, because I forgot to do something and add a delay. So let's add a 15 frame delay and remove this one. So now it's going to stop the countdown, and then it's going to start it. And I forgot to change the input. So the input has to go to GT_veto countdown, and then title for the timer text. So here I was trying to do this function on the audio, which physically can't happen. So let's go back, and boom, everybody makes mistakes. And let's try it again. We transition, the music auto fades, and the countdown starts. And as you can see, even though it's going, and we go to it again, it should be 45 seconds. Here we go, it starts from 45. Simple as that. So here we have our intermission and our veto automatically done. Next up, we do the same thing for our map veto. We copy from this, copy the triggers along, and let's get the audio. Let's do audio veto, edit, audio veto, edit. Now, one thing I want to do with this one is when I go to the veto, I wanted to start the song from the beginning every time. So I'm going to go to my triggers, and I'm going to do on transition in again. I'm going to do audio, or sorry, go to all, and I'm going to click restart. So hit restart, and then audio veto and add. So this will restart the input, which will make it play from the beginning, and then it will play it. So if we, as an example, go back to this, and go here, it will play the track from the beginning, as you can see. It's at the start. If I skip it, and you can see I go back to this, and transition back here, as you can see the track starts from the beginning. So that's the way you can set it up. Next, what we have is our agent select, which has its own in-game music, so I'm not going to add anything there. Then we have our fly. So I'm going to do the same exact thing. I'm going to copy this from intermission, change the trigger this time to countdown 30. Actually, sorry, I'm going to copy this from, which one is it? Map veto. This one, yeah. So change all of the audio to game 30, but I'm going to turn off this transition out, because I always want the audio to be on even when I finish this. So let's go to our agent select. And then when we hit the fly, it will play. But I first need to hit play on it. So let's go back to our triggers. On transition in, let's type in play. And I'm going to hit play. And I'm going to add this. So it's first going to restart, play, and fade the volume up. Let's give it a go again. And if I hit this, there you go. It automatically plays. And if I transition off of this to the game, the audio will still be on. Now, the reason for this is that I want it fading out is because I want this to transition into the game and kind of play while all the players are running around setting up at the beginning of the map. Because it's cool. And obviously, you can configure it whatever way you want. I have it done that way. So now we have our intermission, veto, map veto, agent, our fly set up. We're now going to set up the game. Now, what I like doing is I like when the game mixes between the replays, just to have it fade out rather than just having a straight cut underneath the stinger. So I'm going to do the same thing with the game. I'm going to take the game and copy the triggers from the intermission. Boom. But the audio this time, I want it to literally be game_main. That's it. Game_main. So edit, and I'll just make this a bit louder, than just put it on 70. So now here, as you can see, this function, toggle automatic audio mixing, what this does is if I have it on game, which is enabled, it is live. When I cut away from it, it's not live anymore. So it instantly cuts. But I want to disable that. I want it to be always on, but my triggers will automatically mix it up and down as I leave. So if I go to a replay, like here, for example, let me hit this. As you can see, it's automatically fading out the audio, so it's just a little nicer. And it does the same here. So now that's just like a small thing you can do that just makes it so much better and so much smoother. And you can also do the same thing on the replays. So let's do triggers. And we'll do this for the replay. Here we go. Trigger. Let's copy from intermission. And then let's do replay A, edit, and replay A, edit. So now go to my replay A, turn off B because we don't need it. Always have it on, mute it. Every time, let me just move that out of the way so you can see it better. Every time I'm going to hit the replay, as you can see, it's automatically fading the inputs. But now this is not fading fast enough because I'm missing some audio. So all I have to do is if I minimize this, let me go to my triggers again, and I'm going to make it fade in a bit faster. So let's do 70, and let's do 500 milliseconds edit. So now when I replay, as you can see, it's a perfect mix of the game audio, which is just nice. Boom. See? And it's perfect audio. It does it perfectly, which is nice. I'm a big fan of this. So, next thing we need to do is make it so every time we go to a replay, it will turn on this graphic. So let me just hide that. Make sure the triggers are fine. Make it 500, turn that down a bit, edit. Yep, on transition out. Boom. Here we go. So, this has to appear every time we go to a replay using this function. So we'll add another trigger that will do on transition in. Let's set an overlay. Let's overlay input 1. So what this will do is going to overlay this specific input onto 1. So make sure we do overlay input 1 in. And let's hit the fs_replay. Add. And then we do on transition out. Let's do overlay input on. Off, sorry. Let's add that in. And let's see if this works. Every time we go to a replay, it will turn this on. And here you go. Here we have this being overlaid on top. And when it goes out, it turns it off. So it does it all in the stinger underneath. So rather than going to this input to replay, all it does is it creates a trigger that overlays this on top. So keep attention to this. Let me try and go for a replay. Boom, it hits it on top. So if I turn it on and off, see? It's just overlaying this on top with the graphic. Simple. Boom, done. So for the last and final bit, we're just going to do a run through of how everything would operate, and we're also going to set up our companion. So here we have a simple setup that I did. Let's go to my page 2, and here it is. I have my intermission, my loading, my map veto, then I have 1 plus 2, 3 plus 4, 5, 6, 7. So this essentially just takes the graphic, which is gt_veto_best of 3, which is this one, gt_veto best of 3, and I'll demonstrate what it does. So let's transition to this and go to our web buttons. This emulates what a Stream Deck is, which I'm using, but I'm just doing this for the purpose sake of the tutorial. When I click 1 and 2, it plays a sound effect and shows the maps. 3 and 4. Boom. And then 5, 6, 7. Boom. It shows everything. Then when I can hit this, it will preview agent select. And then I can normal wipe to agent select. Then let's get our fly through ready. Once the fly through is ready, we're going to hit merge. It'll auto play the music. Then we wait for the game to load. Once the game is loading, we hit a normal wipe and go to game and let the audio just run off and just finish. Simple as that. So to go a little bit more in depth on everything, the way I have these buttons set up is simple. On button press, I will take the input fs_intermission and I'm going to put it on preview, send input to preview. So here you just type in preview and just do this one. On feedback, I have it set up as tally states. preview state. So if I have this on preview, it will be green. If I have it on program, it will be red. Simple as that, and I have it for all of these buttons. Now these buttons are my graphics buttons. So what this does is it plays a sound and it begins an animation. So first it plays this sound effect that I have in my audio. So if you watch closely SFX1, I'm going to hit the button and just watch what it does. It plays. And now this is set up to play the video every single time. And then the map veto shows up. So if I hit my veto to go on screen, and I put this in my preview so you can watch exactly what happens. Let's make this a bit smaller. Let's press this button. The veto comes in 200 milliseconds after the sound is played, because the sound doesn't play straight away. If I remove the delay, watch what would happen. It's out of sync. So I delay this by 200 milliseconds, ms. So boom. The audio is synced perfectly, and you can just do that on the button. And I do the same thing for 3 and 4, and this, 5, 6, 7. So you can basically make it, when you press the wipe button, it can play a sound, or whatever you want. You can set it up that way. Here I have my standard transition buttons, so vMix transition, fade, cut, replay wipe, which is stinger 2, normal wipe, which is stinger 1, and the merge button, which is for the agent select. So if I go to agent select, let's press this, then go to cut, and if I cut it on, go to my fly through, once it's ready to go, I click my merge, boom, then I get the game, and I hit normal wipe. And these, as I showed before, simple, they just do a replay of whatever is live. Now, for the final part of the video, I'm just going to do a run through of how to operate this show using these simple graphics. So, starting off, we're going to go to our intermission and cut it on top. Here we have all of our audio playing. Here's our simple intermission. Now, the second I get the map vetoes in from the tournament organizer or whatever website, like Challenger Mode as an example, I'll go here to my map veto graphic, right-click title editor, and this is the GT title I set up. Once again, if you want to learn how to make this, just visit my other videos. I have tutorials for this. I'm going to go to images, and here I have my map 1. I'm going to click browse. I'm going to go map images, choose fracture, map 2, ascent, map 3, haven, and I'm going to set all of this up quickly. Boom. And then let's get split to be the last one. So here I have the map veto. Then I have my different teams. So the left team, let's say they were banning first. So for team 2, I'm going to select red. Team 4, select red. Team 6, select red. And for this one, I'm going to have it empty, hidden. So here you go. First it's blue, red, blue, red, blue, red. And then the pick is the last one. Now, next up, make sure we have the team names. So let's call this potato. And we'll call this one mash. So potato versus mash. Now that I have it ready and set up, I will then transition over to this. Map veto. Countdown. So now this will notify the feed takers or whoever is watching this feed that in 45 seconds the map veto will be on. Now, clean feeds, they're not always on. They don't always take them. But in this case, let's say somebody doesn't have the veto on their show on screen right now, that they don't have it, showing up. And they see this countdown saying map veto in 45 seconds, so they can know to put it on when the map vetoes come in and are informed. You can also tell them in text that you're doing it, whatever way you communicate. But once this hits 0, we're going to go ahead and transition to our map veto. So we're going to get it ready. 8 seconds. We'll wait for it to hit 1, and then we'll hit the transition button because it's kind of a long stinger. And there we go. Transitioning to the veto. Now, using here is the amazing Cairo, shout out to him, doing a little cameo. Turn that off for now. Now that I have this on, I'm going to hit 1 and 2. Then I'm going to wait a little bit. Let's imagine the casters are talking about what the bans are and maybe trying to predict a pick. Then I'm going to hit the next. And lastly, boom. Now here we have our veto. Now let's say the teams are in the lobby and are waiting for the game to be started. I'm going to sit on this graphic and stay and wait. I'm going to preview my agent select. So waiting and waiting. Oh, and then loading into the game. The agent select has started. There's 90 seconds and the agent select in Valorant. I'm going to wipe to it. And boom, agent select is live. The music is playing from the game. And now we wait for the agent select to finish. Everybody's picking their agents. Blah, blah, blah. And boom, the agents are picked. There's 0 seconds on a timer at the top of the screen. That means the game's going to be starting. I'm going to hit merge to make sure we don't look at the game loading screen. And I'm going to preview the game to go to it next. Let's get ready. The game is still loading. Oh, and the game has loaded. I'm going to still wait a little bit because it's 40 seconds till the round starts. I'm going to wait for the audio to be in line with my wipe. And I'm going to wipe now. And now we have a perfect transition. We're in game. Now that we're in game, super simple. I'm observing on my laptop using my hands. And I have these two really simple features. Let's go to my 13th page. All I have to do is hit this button with my foot pedal. And the Elgato foot pedal that you can set up. Boom, a replay happened. Boom. Oh, another really cool 2K just happened. It's a bit of a longer kill. I'm going to hit 5 seconds. Oh, another one, 4. Boom, the round is over. Let's show the replay. Select, hit play events. Boom, it's showing them. It's playing the replay. Go on to the next one. Going to the next one. And boom, finished. There we go. Now, let's say the game ends right there. After that, I'm going to preview this. I just hit intermission. And go back to my intermission screen. And boom, we're here in my intermission waiting for the next game. Here you could have a graphic that comes up saying next match coming up, this team versus this team. You can pretty much do anything you like, and with the tools I showed you, be creative. And if you do use any of these tutorials and set anything up, make sure to tag me on Twitter at ATROOOIX. You can see it on the top right and here. I will make a video at some point reviewing what everybody has been doing and giving some feedback. So make sure to hit me up, show me what you're doing, and just learn. Like, you won't learn by not doing it. Literally make this stuff, even if you don't have access to it. Get access. vMix, you can get a free 2-month trial. Download it. Use it for 2 months. Watch one of these videos. Simple as that. You won't learn without learning yourself. Just make sure you follow all the steps and then innovate. If you have an idea, try and pull it off using all of the things you learned from this.